This law in Texas is a violation of the Constitution, and the fact that all of the conservative judges did not immediately block it is an indicator that they are more interested in partisan legislating than they are in actually doing their job. So Texas came out and they pushed forth a law, and that law sucks, all right? That law bans abortions after 6 weeks. Not only does it ban them, but it also incentivizes people to sue, not only the people who get abortions after that time period, but people who help people get abortions after that time period. You could literally be sued legally, and there's a legal basis for this, if you in any way monetarily assisted a person in getting an abortion if that abortion ended up being past the 6 weeks. Absolutely insane and objective, and I want to be really clear with this language, objective violation of Roe versus Wade. A complete violation of Roe versus Wade, okay? Which, if you take a look at the Wikipedia article right here, we can read this. The court resolved this balancing test by tying state regulation of abortion to the 3 trimesters of pregnancy. During the first trimester, which is within 6 weeks, governments could not prohibit abortions at all. Bam. That's it. Done. Right there. First trimester is 3 months. Right there. Roe versus Wade very clearly says this right here. During the first trimester, government could not prohibit abortions at all. That's it. It's against the law. It's unconstitutional. During the second trimester, governments could require reasonable health regulations. During the third, abortion could be prohibited entirely so long as laws contained exceptions for cases when they were necessary to save the life or health of the mother. This Texas law is, objectively, with no interpretation necessary, a violation of the Roe v. Wade law. Now, you'd think immediately the Supreme Court would strike this down, but no. Yesterday, by a 5-4 vote, they declined to block the law. And I have a lot to say about why there's a 6-3 conservative Supreme Court right now. Now look, there are so many things that I want to say about this, and normally I prattle on and on and on, but I think that this time I'm going to have to be a little bit more pointed, okay? Now, they haven't yet ruled on this law, okay? What they did was decline to block it. They haven't ruled on it. When they rule on it, they will likely block the law. That will happen some time from now. So it seems like the conservatives on the Supreme Court are just letting Texans run amok with this law before eventually coming back to smack it down. Kind of like a school teacher who really hates a kid turning a blind eye to that kid being bullied. They're essentially saying like, oh, even though this is an objective violation of Roe v. Wade, we'll get to it later. Don't worry, we'll get to it later. Now, of course, that being said, it's also entirely possible that after they do finally get around to looking at the case, they will actually uphold it. It's entirely possible that they will uphold it and essentially renege Roe v. Wade. One of the strongest goals of the conservative control of the Supreme Court for decades has been the abolition of abortion federally. At the very least, what they can do is by getting rid of Roe v. Wade, allow states to block it. That is something they've pushed for. Now, I want to be really clear about something right off the bat, okay? For as much as conservatives like to prattle on and on about proceduralism and constitutional originalism, this law in Texas is a violation of the Constitution, and the fact that all of the conservatives judges did not immediately block it is an indicator that they are more interested in partisan legislating than they are in actually doing their job. This is the worst case scenario for what conservatives have divisively called activist judges, except when conservatives say activist judges, what they actually mean is judges who have favorable interpretations for progressive causes, whereas what the conservatives are doing right now is ignoring the law. It's objectively unconstitutional. It's as simple as that. And what they're doing by showing this is that they're saying, hey, maybe we're not willing to challenge Roe v. Wade just yet, but if any conservative states want to go on ahead and push their own anti-abortion laws, maybe we take a while to get to it, even if it's objectively against the Constitution. That's what we're dealing with right now. The conservative Supreme Court justices, the 5 of them who voted in that direction, are, well, they may uphold the law later, but even if they block it, they're essentially saying that they're giving a lot of leeway to states for making an effort to ban abortion now. There's so much I want to say about this. First of all, this has been long-standing advice, but this is meaningful more so now than ever, okay? If you live in a conservative state, it is in your best interest to not live in that conservative state, okay? The court is going to be conservatively biased for a long time to come. And that means that these attacks on civil liberties are probably going to become more severe and more frequent with time. I know moving costs money. I am not saying this is something you can just move to fix, but it is definitely something you should take into consideration, okay? Especially, I'm looking at all the tech bros in my audience, okay? People thinking of moving to Texas because Houston and Austin are booming tech hubs right now, and also the only two blue spots in the entirety of Texas, you know? Maybe worth considering the broader harm of state policy there, you know? Whatever problems states like California and New York might have, at least they're not going to be banning abortion on a state level anytime soon. Just keep that in mind, okay? Strongly suggest. No, they should move to Texas to make it blue. That's something you're going to have to consider. You're going to have to... Wouldn't people moving from Texas make it back to red from purple? How did the last... What is the current state of the Texas legislature? Hold on. What is the current state? Okay, fair's fair. That's pretty purple. 13 to 18 in the Senate and 67 to 82 in the House means that this is within the prospect of being flipped, in which case we would no longer have to worry about stuff like this necessarily. All right, the logistics here are difficult. You know, I'll say this much, okay? If you care about being able to get abortions, probably something you should look to have done in other states. You can move to other states to do it. You can just travel out to those states. Look, it's complicated, okay? My sympathies to the literal millions of people in Texas who will be negatively affected by this, you know? The government isn't prosecuting people for getting abortions. They're just allowing random people to sue anyone who helps people get abortions. Yeah, that's a violation of Roe v. Wade. The court will uphold lawsuits being brought to people who do this. In what other instance would that not be counted as a violation of a person's right to do a thing? That'd be like saying, well, we're not going to make it illegal to have gay marriage, but we will allow people to sue people who do gay marriage, and the court will uphold. Yeah, no, ridiculous. Absolutely not. Absolutely ridiculous. So, all that mean bullshit aside, I would like to take a few moments to dedicate a special wave of antipathy towards all of the people who told us that Trump was not going to appoint Supreme Court justices in case he won over Hillary.
Now, Jimmy, let's talk about risk assessment. Do you think there's a difference in the probability that two 80-year-olds with multiple cases of cancer are going to serve out their term versus the moon falling into Lake Michigan? What I want you to do is to stop offering theories about politics on your platform that are bogus.
Yeah, well, I think I just proved to you they're not bogus, man. You haven't proved that.
It's absurd, Jimmy. I'm sorry. It's absurd.
That's not, you're voting out of fear again. Oh, because there might be two Supreme Court judges. What if there's three? What if the moon falls into Lake Michigan? What are we going to...
Jimmy Dore compared Trump appointing 3 Supreme Court justices to the moon falling into Lake Michigan.
I know that this is my risk assessment.
Now, Jim.
Yeah. And by the way, all the Jimmy Dore types are being like that. All the fake leftists, all of them are being hardcore defensive right now, you know? And I want to be clear. By the way, if you were Bernie or bust, this is absolutely your fault. You are part of the movement that contributed to what allowed Trump to get away with appointing 3 Supreme Court justices. It's not Bernie's fault. Bernie's better than you, which is why you've all denounced him, because he's actually a leftist and you're not. But all of them, yeah, like Sean over in BreadTube, like Sean and Jen, and Kyle Kalinske, and Brianna Joy Gray, and Jimmy Dore, and socialist MMA who was being extremely defensive, talking about how people were attacking Bernie over this. No. We're attacking you over it. We all said this could happen. Now Trump's conservative picks get to influence the Supreme Court for the next, 50 years. Joy Gray has been blaming the Dem Party for this. Yeah, of course she has. Because she's worthless. What other reason? Why else? Because otherwise she would have to acknowledge, wait, Kyle wasn't Bernie or bust? What are you talking about? He kind of was. He was like, you can vote for Biden if you want, but I won't. Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Yeah, he didn't vote for Biden, and he signal boosted it too. Can somebody post the Brianna Joy Gray tweet that apparently Bastiat reposted? Can anyone bring that to me? I would like to see that very, very much. I'd be extremely... Here's Brianna Joy Gray, who deleted this tweet, by the way. You guys are 100% wrong. Read the importance of the SCOTUS in support for HRC. Well, however bad Hillary Rodham Clinton might have been, she probably wouldn't have put fucking Kavanaugh, fucking the three conservative anti-abortion radical Supreme Court justices up there. Oops. No accountability, by the way. She won't, these fuckers never quote tweet themselves and point out that they were wrong. They just delete and move on because they are spineless, grifting, weaselly, worthless little pieces of shit who are unworthy of the platforms that they stumbled into through the charity of people smarter than them. Okay? Absolutely sickening. By the way, if you were doing this, if you're like, dude, whatever, Trump isn't that bad, whatever, Hillary, Trump, about the same thing, whatever, it doesn't matter, fucking own it. Stand up there right now on Twitter and say, yes, as a product of my inability to engage in basic political risk assessment, now Roe v. Wade is being chipped at. Yes, now millions of women in Texas have their abortion rights restricted, but it was worth it because I didn't look like a liberal in the process. It was worth it. I remained pure. Kyle said he would have 100% voted for Clinton and Biden if he lived in a red state. That shit does not matter to me. If you are a public influencer, the only thing that matters is how you convince others to vote. And there are a lot of Bernier busters in Kyle Kulinski's community. And Sean did the same thing too. Why does it matter if I wouldn't vote for Biden? I'm in England. So many Americans seem concerned with how I'm voting in American elections, even though I'm not American. As if, by the way, are there not people in Europe who are pro-Trump and we criticize that? Back in 2016 when Canadians are yeah, vote for Trump. Did they go well, I can't vote for Trump, and we're oh yeah, you're right, you're Canadian, your opinions don't matter at all if you're outside the country when you're a huge public figure. Oh my god. Brianna Joy Gray defending the deletion? Yes! She doubles down! Why'd you delete this? To try to make it a little harder for people like you to harass me over a good tweet that accurately assessed the political utility of shaming voters into voting blue no matter what, with their Supreme Court. Did it work though? Ignorance finds a way. Ignorant, guys, we're so low IQ for finding the thing Brianna Joy Gray said that was objectively incorrect. All right. You're using punctuation to tweet? Ah, fuck. No period. There we go. Quote retweet? Like a coward? Get in there, folks. Get in there. Let's get it started hot. Let's get it started in here. Emojis, please. One day I will learn to incorporate emojis into my political vocabulary, but unfortunately at the moment, it's just not something that comes naturally to me. There are very few people on the quote left who I have less respect for than Brianna Joy Gray. By the way, if you ever want to appreciate just the absolute depth of her anti-intellectualism, watch her Bad Faith Pod interview with Chomsky. It was the one where the child groomer that she co-hosted with sat there and did nothing while she spent an hour and 30 minutes asking questions that Noam Chomsky would answer, and then she would ask the same question again, but more smug, and then he would answer it again, and then she would incredulously ask the same question, and then he would answer it again. Wait, child groomer, what the fuck? This is new to me. Somebody made an accusation that Virgil Texas groomed them, like when she was 16, like knowingly. And normally I don't put much stake in anonymous Twitter accusations, but apparently Virgil Texas just fled the internet after. Like, fled everything. Just completely disappeared. Brianna Joy Gray, like a month after, made a post saying, like, I don't know what's going on. I don't fucking know what's going on. So while normally I reserve a person's right to, like, dip, and I also reserve a person's right to defend themselves against, like, accusations like that, the two happening right one after the other, that's pretty bad, you know? Being accused of grooming a child is actually the best time to be present to defend yourself, you know? Maybe he comes back in 6 years with a... Maybe right now he's, like, journeying through the Alps, you know, to find, like, some ancient artifact that will prove his innocence or something. I don't know. Maybe he comes back in a year and absolves himself. I don't know. But at the moment, I'll admit, it's not looking amazing. Oh, right, alleged child groomer. Yeah, alleged, of course, with regards to that. So anyway, I have no respect for Brianna Joy Gray. Anna Kasparian had a base take on this. Anna Kasparian coming out again with the thing I retweeted because it was so fucking based. Hillary didn't lose because of Bernie voters. She was awful. True. But I'd love the baby brains who repeatedly mocked strategic voting after 2016 primaries to shut the fuck up. They minimized Trump's potential impact on SCOTUS. They were wrong and they should own it. No brains or balls. Fucking true. Listen up, Dorites. You gotta have brains or balls. You can't have neither of them, okay? There's nothing more pathetic than being too stupid to understand what the effect of a Trump presidency would be, and then too spineless to own up to your mistake after you're proven wrong. Absolutely pathetic. There are some liberals somewhere saying that this is Bernie's fault because Bernie made people Bernie or busters, but that's objectively incorrect. More Bernie voters voted for Hillary in 2016 than Hillary voters voted for Obama back in 2008. So Hillary voters were more shiftless than Bernie voters were. Bernie also campaigned for Hillary, did a bunch of rallies for her, endorsed her, everything. So no, Bernie's not at fault at all. But a lot of these Bernie or bust types are deflecting by talking about how this isn't Bernie's fault. They're implicitly defending themselves by saying that Bernie isn't responsible for the people who didn't vote for Hillary over Trump, which is funny because they were the people who didn't vote for Hillary over Trump. Like, what they're essentially saying is, it's not Bernie Sanders' fault that I turned out as stupid and fucking brain dead as I am. Bernie didn't do anything wrong. I'm just like this. Like, that's the implication, right? They're saying, don't blame Bernie for Bernie or busters, but they're the Bernie or busters. So, Jesus. We're in a pretty scary position right now for what's happening in Texas, what will probably happen to Florida sometime soon. And there's a very real possibility that, in the near future, you know, the Supreme Court might actually take steps to revoke Roe v. Wade, you know? And if that happens, there are going to be severe and widespread consequences. But there is some good news. You too can help enforce the draconian anti-abortion Texas Heartbeat Act over here at prolifewhistleblower.com. Any anonymous tip you guys want to send, you have the freedom to. You can just send in any tip, you know? But make sure to be, you know, careful and scrutinous with the tips that you send, because if their hotlines get flooded with meaningless tips, then it invalidates the usefulness of the entire service, which means that nobody can really get the justice they deserve, and the lawsuits following. They're IP banning people. Well, obviously, you would want to use a, what's it called? A VPN, that's right. Obviously, you would want to use a VPN, you know, because it's an anonymous tip. You want to make sure that you are, you know, approaching this with the greatest possible degree of enforced anonymity. So go have fun with that. No, an activist made a script to flood the Texas abortion whistleblower website with fake info. When they IP banned him, he made an iOS shortcut, so essentially anyone with an iPhone can replicate what he did in seconds. Verified it works for herself. Oh, that's nice. This is called, what is it called? Direct Action? On Vice, too. Yowza. The script sends one request to the Texas website about every 10 to 15 seconds. That hotline has to be completely unusable. There's just no fucking way that thing even remotely functions at this point.